Hello and welcome. My name is Ed Rodriguez. I am the president of Flatston Capital and the founder of Retirement in Paradise. And today I want to share some historical material that will answer some of the questions that have been posted by some of our friends and clients related to how long have we been doing these? Why are we now promoting retirement in paradise? And where does all these information and expertise come from, since most of them met us in Mexico already while they were vacationing and spending the winter with us in the Yucatan. And so, as you can see here, there is a column that I used to write back in 2011. And actually, this is the first of the series on a magazine called Mexico, which is clearly a magazine that was being published back then and trying to help people to move to Mexico to spend time there. And so on this column, I touched upon a number of very relevant subjects and challenges that people that were looking at spending time in Mexico and some of them retiring in Mexico were facing. So we're going to be publishing all these articles pretty soon on our site, retirementinparadise.com. I just wanted to give you an outline of what's going on and what we were doing back then, and so that you can actually see the opportunity to work with us. In a second, I'm going to share with you the deck that was presented back then, and which is the basis for a lot of the information that you will see in some of the events that we're doing across Mexico and Latin America. It is important for me to highlight that I'm no longer associated with the Toronto Dominion Bank, nor I have anything to do with them. They do not endorse or approve this material. This material was actually prepared in compliance with the regulation back then, and it no longer applies again because I do not work with them. So, without further ado, I'm going to go through the actual deck. And I'm gonna basically stop my camera because it doesn't make sense for us to see my face. We want to talk about the deck and the content. So you can see here now is the actual deck that was presented during the actual events that we were hosting. Some of the events were hosted at the fixed base operations at the south terminal of the Richmond Vancouver Airport, where currently is now, I believe, ESO Habitat, the private jet uh, terminal. Back then, it was called the ESO Habitat, and we presented these. I'm gonna fly through these decks so that you can see the material. Uh, this is not for promotional purposes. This is just to share the historical information and an analysis of the program that we have been running for now almost 20 years on a latest previous version. So again, the material covers the myths of retirement, the actual retirement challenges of Canadians and Americans, the actual fundamentals that had to do with the analytics that we had for the future opportunities and current risks that we're facing right now, and how the baby boomer demographics has affected everything from diapers with Kimberly Clark and Gerber Food to McDonald's and Ford, Chrysler, the automotive industry, travel industry, and everything. They basically have the Midas touch. And if you were to understand these in the past and even today, you could benefit from positioning yourself ahead of the curve of that demographic wave. So, we talked about the baby boomers facts, the Canadian Retirement Income Program that has three legs, how two of them are not necessarily very strong and might not be there when you need them. And then we talk about the income challenges, the pensions, which are a source of problems. And we shared some of the information that was already publicly available, including this material from RBC Dexia, which was pointing out to some of the extremely troubling trends that we're seeing today happen, and the challenge with the lack of transparency on a Canadian public pension system related to the deficits, the income sources for seniors, and basically the markets. We covered volatility and the elephant in the room, which is the amount of money that has been printed by the US and obviously Canada. The size of the debt, which now is 2.5 times this debt in the US, and the problems that started to happen back in 2010 when the US was already spending more money that it was taking in by the form of tax revenues, which eventually led to the problem of the elephant in the room, which is the other elephant in the room is that most of the debt is linked to the baby boomers. So if you have less revenues from a decreasing demographic and you have more expenditures from the debt of the entitlements, then you have the perfect recipe for a collapse. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it is possible that we see some adjustment, major adjustment moving forward. These led us to the taxes, the challenges of taxation, which I don't think necessarily are a problem. The problem is expenditures, but we'll let Mr. Elon Musk deal with that through Doge. At the end of the day, there's two certainties, taxes and debt. And so what you want to make sure is that you can minimize one and avoid the other as long as possible. You choose which one. At the end of the day, we don't know how long we have in this planet. And so you may want to consider retiring sooner. I don't need to tell you the statistics, but the longer you live, the higher the mortality. And so you may want to retire before you basically check out. And the idea is that we want to help you to skip to the front of the retirement line so that you can potentially retire 5 to 10 years before than if you follow the traditional path. And this is why we call it the snowbird retirement program. The alternative, clearly, for us was Latin America. I have been living now for most of 4 years full time in Mexico in the Yucatan. And I'll be the first one to say Latin America is not the safest, it's not always the best place, but there are fantastic, extremely safe places where I have been living with my family. And as they say, the proof is in the pudding. If I have my family there, you should feel comfortable yourself. Okay, so the idea is how do you reinvent yourself? That's the idea of our program that is focused on legal and tax services, property management services, and lifestyle planning. We do not provide yet financial advisory, not because we can, but because we don't have a license yet for Mexico or the US. And basically, that leaves us with a very constrained, but at the same time, broad number of services that we can provide to you. In other words, we take out the complexity so that you can enjoy your retirement. Um, we hope that this has been uh, illustrative and that you can see that we do have experience, we have the credentials, and have been working on this for a long time. If you think that retirement in paradise or basically abroad, or you just want to spend time there, prepare yourself for retirement. If you're looking for an objective advocate for your situation, basically, we might be the right people to talk to. So until then, I want to wish you a great day and hopefully we will see you in paradise. Once again, I have no affiliation or relationship with the Waterhouse, the Toronto Dominion, and this has been an illustrative presentation for you to see that we have been doing this for a long time, and we have the expertise in the matters at hand.